I'm at New Craig, Recumbent Stone Circle, which is, if I just pan round and we have a look up the hill, I'm going to use a stick. It's up there is Lone Head of Davitt, so 800 metres away. And apparently between this site and Lone Head there's a cup mark natural stone outcrop, which I might go and have a wee look for. So the reason I have a stick is because that's an electric fence, and it's a little bit too close. The previous time I was here, there was plenty of space to get between the fence and the stones, but it's been moved a little bit too close for my liking. So I'm keeping in compliance with the Scottish Land Act and making sure the field is clear of cattle, which it is. There was some cattle earlier on, but there's none around about now, so nothing to worry. And keeping in compliance with the electric fence kind of thing. I'll show you in a wee while. The landowners actually put a little stile for the electric fence, which is quite handy to allow people to gain access. So there's not much history, considering there's quite a lot of documentation about Lone Head of Davitt. There's not much documentation for New Craig. It's pretty much, as we see it today, is pretty much as it's been documented. It's been part of a walled area for this kind of treed area here between two fields. Pretty much all that's left is the recumbent setting, and there's a couple of stones inside which we'll go and have a look at. Plus an odd stone with some cup marks, which is quite interesting. But yeah, what's interesting about this particular recumbent setting is where Lone Head of Davitt had a split right through the stone from one end to the other. So there's basically, it looks like there's two recumbent stones. This one's split right down the middle, and there's pretty much been some hearsay and evidence that local people, when Cole was doing his survey back in 1901, local people had suggested that it had been attempted to blast it by stonemasons and such, and that's why there is a full crack, and it goes all the way front to back, top to bottom of the recumbent stone. And the number 3 stone, the east flanker, looks like it's been propped back up. It doesn't look like it's been socketed. I can see we're going to have a look at it in a wee minute, but I can see the bottom of it, which suggests to me that at some point the circle itself has been heavily robbed and removed, and the recumbent, I think, has been attempted to be destroyed or reduced, and they've essentially just made it a corner of a field. Looks like they've maybe given up. So let's have a look then. So just what I'll do is I'll go in to the fenced area in a wee minute, but from here, from outside, what we can see is there's some potential cut marks, or it could be being a bit of the damage on number 1 stone. It is a monster. It looks like it's socketed. It looks like it's in its original socket. It's quite a tall stone. It must be 2.6 maybe meters high. Some evidence of kind of maybe a flat side, but it's a bit higgledy-piggledy, to be honest. Especially around this side of it. And you'd expect it to be a little bit closer to the recumbent. Wait a minute, just adjust my microphone. You just expect it to be a wee bit closer to the recumbent there. But yeah, it looks like it's been in the wars, but it could have easily just be in its original socket, I suspect. The recumbent, you can see evidence of the bottom of it, but it could have been a split. This is the split in the middle, zigzag, right down there. And we'll have a look from the inside in a wee minute, but it certainly looks like it has been in the wars. If it had been drilled and blasted, the hole for the drill is not evident, but you could probably tell by that top section it's had some damage. A really nice flat face to it though, on the outer side, and it is kind of facing, if you're standing inside the circle facing out, it is kind of facing south west. A little bit of a gap there, but you can see here, here's the bottom of that flanker. So a big heavy push from the side and it would fall over. It's not socketed whatsoever. So I suspect that had either been fallen or tried to be removed, and they've just shoved it back up in place to complete this wall. So yeah, this flanker, this east flanker, there is some evidence of kind of nice flat surfaces. It is fairly tall. I mean, if it was a complete circle, you're talking about a significant circle. This recumbent's pretty big. We'll just pace it out. It's going to be sort of 1, 2, maybe 3.5 meters long. It is quite deep. When you look at it here, you know, it's a good meter deep. If it was its original height up here, you know, you're talking about 2 meters high. So it's a significant recumbent on its own. The west flanker and east flanker look chunky, although you might be forgiven that if this was in its socket, a good quarter of it would be in the ground. So it's maybe not going to be as tall as it maybe kind of seems to be here. So we're going to have a look on the inside. I'll just go through the fence. And there is some really considerate access being put into this circle. Just go along here. So it's some nice steps up in the wall to get in. And we'll go down to the back of the circle. There's a couple of trees here now. I've mentioned a lot about trees, haven't I, in the past. I mean, look, you just see the size of this thing. And the tree base is right up against the recumbent stone at the back. And the flanker. And this tree here is quite close. If these blew over, the whole tree base would move these stones, no bother. So, yeah, there's a potential roundabout sort of tree damage being a lot to answer for a lot of fallen stones and circles. But if we go into the kind of behind the recumbent itself, you can see there's been quite a lot of, this is the crack that goes right from front to back, top to bottom. And you can see there's been a whole chunk of the recumbent missing here, being drilled or blasted away by something. This is as close as you can get to the east flanker. Again, it's a good, well-shaped flanker. Let's get round to the other one. The top here, there's maybe some marks at the top here. Again, don't know if that's been just a deliberate cup mark or it's been a little bit of damage. There's some cup marks here. But I suspect that these stones have had a fair bit of deliberate damage done to them and then just left in place. There is a couple of stones recognised as circle stones, although it has been mentioned that because of the deliberate robbing and quarrying of the stones in this area, particularly, that they're probably not in their original place. So this is recognised as stone 4, and then stone 5 still standing, although again probably not in its original spot. That's the recumbent up in the tree line there. So again, this stone is kind of looks like it's had a fair bit of damage done to itself. It's about up to my shoulder height. So that's that one. So there's nothing much really to kind of report on this one, apart from the recumbent setting looks like it's been damaged significantly, and the stone 4 and 5 are still here, although I suspect that that's not their original positions. I'm just going back this way just to show you the stone that's about 20 metres away from the recumbent. A bit of an odd stone. Couldn't really kind of say that's an outcropped stone, but it's a bit of a boulder. And what's unusual about this one is this, put my stick down, this natural hollow here has a large number of cup marks all round the rim. We're getting a bit mossed up, but there's quite a few of them. I can't remember what the documentation says, but there's quite a few of them. So what this stone represented or was originally, was it here? Had it been moved? I'm not entirely sure. But yes, New Craig is only about 800 metres away from Lone-Headed Aviate. It's relatively accessible. You've got to kind of park. There's passing spaces on the B road. Just park in one of them, and there's lots of electric fences, but you climb over one of the gates and abide by the normal respectful land acts, and you'll be fine. But yes, so just show you where the electric fence is for this. So it's just like here, and that's the stone circle. That's the flankers just there. They're a wee bit close for my liking, and I just don't want to check if they're on or not. And there's some boulders here behind the recumbent setting, which has maybe been recognised as either parts of circle stones or just field clearance that's been shoved up against them. But the back side of the recumbent itself is relatively flat here. You can tell there's definitely been a significant bit of damage done here. If there was a drill hole, say where the stick is, blasted or popped, the evidence of the drill holes disappeared with the blast. So I suspect it has been tried to be reduced. Where I think the Lone-Headed Aviate one, recumbent, has been probably hit with a tree rather than drilled. But that's just my opinion. So I hope you've enjoyed that little walk through New Craig. Difficult to get in about, to be honest, because of the electric fence. Definitely one for the keen adventurer. But there we are. Thanks very much for joining us.